Hey guys, I'm bringing you into the legendary Redwood Forest because I want to take you on a journey where you can actually learn how to market your accounting firm and get some of the best strategies that we use in other industries, me and many other marketers that are not being used in the accounting industry right now. It's so beautiful. The opportunity is great for you. So today, I want to give you something very special. You don't have to buy some type of $500 course from me, $3,000 course, so that you can learn how to do Facebook ads. I actually give you a pretty good funnel at the end of this video, as well as many other strategies. And really, this is called the Gold Lake Summer 2018 Manifesto, where I go over, one, our business strategy, what we start every client with. It matters. Why do we even market? How do we market? What are we trying to do? What are our business goals? What is the business case? Okay. The second thing, content marketing. You might have heard you need to create content on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. What do you create? I go over exactly something that you can create that will result in, frankly, if you do it right, hundreds of thousands in reoccurring revenue. Okay, so I don't want to be salesy like the other guys. I'm not telling you that to then get you to buy a course. I'm telling you that so that you can either watch if you're watching or listen if you're listening to the audio version of this. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, you might hear some cracks, some steps right now. We're actually going over a pretty cool bridge here in the Redwood Forest. So I hope this video, there's some things scaring me back there. So I hope this video is extremely valuable for you. I've created it to be one of the best pieces for accounting marketing in history. So I hope you listen. If someone else does your marketing, if your interns do your marketing, this is the video they need to watch, because the third thing we go over after we go over strategy and content strategy, we go over ad spend. How to play as the big boys. How do you really get that ROI from spending money on marketing? Welcome to the Gold Lake Summer 18 Manifesto. Okay, business strategy. We are going to talk brand strategy, why a business, especially an accounting firm, especially an accounting practice, why would you ever need marketing? Because what you've really been told and what you've seen, especially if you know someone or you've looked at firms that have been around for a long time, or you've looked at firms that are 20 plus years old, even that early, even that young, in fact, these firms, almost all of them, were not built through marketing, okay? In a way, yeah, they were built through referrals, right? That's what you've heard. One of the best ways to grow your firm, referrals, right? So back in the old times, it was too much money to put my accounting firm on the billboard, right? It was too much money to have a commercial like the car dealer, especially for an accountant, a commercial that would convert. Come on, those TV commercials aren't going to convert. So they're not gonna spend the money on the TV commercial. They never did spend the money on the TV commercial like the car dealer in your city. They didn't spend the money for the TV commercial like the lawyer did in your city. Instead, they let those guys do it all, and then they went to the Chamber of Commerce, made those relationships where they found the lawyer in the city and then got the lawyer to refer them business, right? They found the car dealer in the city, the insurance salesman in the city. They got him to refer the accounting business, right? So it's a big referral circle, let's say in the Chamber of Commerce or the local Rotary Club, right? And that's classically the way these firms have been built, from cities like LA, even big cities like San Francisco, Houston, New York. Everyone, basically, they built their network out so they could have that referral funnel to then grow their business, right? Now, it might make sense why a new firm needs to market. Obviously, they need to get their story across, show that they're new, that type of thing. But why are firms that have been here for 20 plus years now in my inbox and asking me how can they market? It's because they're seeing a decline in this type of business model working. And if it's not, if for you nitpickers out there, okay, don't get distracted by that word decline, because even if it's stagnant, that still means if your business is stagnant, it's still declining, and it's declining out of relevance because you're then not posting on social, which is why, you know, these types of firms tell me, look at my website, look at my Instagram, look at my Facebook. We are doing this, but it's not working, that type of thing, right? And what the business strategy really is, it's to get your story across, your firm story, to the same lawyer, to the same insurance salesman. There's 5 insurance salesmen, 5 biggest insurance salesmen in the city. They all need to know about your accounting firm. 5 biggest lawyers in the city, they all need to know about your accounting firm. They all need to have your pages added on social. They all need to have that type of synergistic relationship with your firm, right? Now, that's the basics. That's the history of going through marketing. And so we're at a point in time where really there is a massive shift of opportunity, right? That one word, opportunity. So I just talked about that they weren't able to see conversion from the TV ads and the newspaper ads and the billboard ads back in the day. But now, social media, online, it's free to make a LinkedIn business account. It's free to make a Facebook business page. It's free to make an Instagram and a Twitter and even a Snapchat. We're not going to talk about Snapchat at all, as a matter of fact, because really your customers, they're not there. So not right now, right? So we're not going to focus on Snapchat. But the one reason that businesses, that accountants, that firms that have been around for a long time should start marketing and should start taking advantage aggressively, the reason that they should start marketing aggressively is to take advantage of this opportunity, okay? And I mean, look guys, the older accountants are going to say, what can it really do for my business, right? I've grown my businesses through referrals. I think I'll have clients coming in, right? I'm telling you right now, it is the difference between your firm, your practice growing 50% and 500%, okay? Really guys, and if I'm gonna get human here, I brought you to the redwoods. I'm spending some time with you here. Like, the sun is in my face, it's hot out here, so I'm gonna be human with you, and I'm gonna tell you something very near and dear to my heart, because I'm trying to grow my business fast, right? And I would imagine that if you're a hungry entrepreneur, you're a hungry accountant, that you're trying to grow your business fast. And so I would say that marketing, that 50% to 500%, right? Well, how does that happen? That happens by having the B2B podcast that then only 30 people listen to actively. Let's say it doesn't need to be big, guy. This is B2B. One deal can change everything for your firm. Let's say you have 30 active listeners. So that B2B podcast with only 30 listeners can then result in $800,000, $1 million in revenue off of 30 listeners. 60 listeners, 80 listeners, $5 million it can result in. And that's really the power of social, right? I never thought, when I was in college, I never thought that I would actually be selling stuff online. But that's exactly what I did in college. I sold t-shirts and tank tops on Instagram and Twitter, okay? I sold cell phones. I sold it all. Chocolates in high school. I mean, watches in college off of eBay, right? So this digital shift, it's the way that people are making decisions, right? And you ask, okay, well, what's the significance of that 50% example to 500% example? It's because I really care not so much about your firm, but I care about your life. as an entrepreneur, because I'm just starting my business here, so I'm experiencing what it's like to grow a business, and I'm working a lot with my clients and looking at their goals. I'm looking at, how they're scaling, and because of what we're doing for them, they're actually scaling faster than they would without us. And I'm really happy with that, because really what I want to do for accountants here is I want to change lives. And so the personal example, the sort of human example that I want to give you with that 50% to 500% growth, okay, that's the difference of not marketing and marketing. But really what you really care about, that's the difference between sending your mom or your grandma on a vacation with a 500%. She gets to go on the vacation, okay, when she's still alive, versus you grow by 50%, and then when you're sending everyone on vacations, you say, oh, I wish she was here to experience it, okay? That's not what I want to happen with my grandma, God forbid, okay? That's not what I want to happen with my mom. And I want my clients to fulfill their entrepreneurial dreams as well, which, especially in a profession like accounting, well respected, a lot of accountants are very, very ethical. It usually, the sole reason for starting the business, growing the business, usually ties back to family, right? So that's why I give that type of example. And you might say, well, that's a sort of a bleak story, right? My friends overseas, they might call it a bloody bleak story, right? But what I really want to do is get across to you that there is a purpose in marketing. There is a business strategy. And the reason it's so hard for a lot of these older firms to see, now you young firms, I actually do see some of you taking advantage. I actually have some even older firms coming up on my CPA PrimeTime shows as guests, okay? And they've adapted over time, and you'll see that, okay, well, halfway through, they changed from bookkeeping to advisory and all these other things, and then they started marketing themselves differently. Very exciting as they were growing their businesses. We'll get into it on the show. But what really matters is you knowing that it is possible from a LinkedIn post, from an Instagram post, to grow your business 500%. Okay, and how does that happen? Let's say you want the biggest client in the town, that you've been chasing for I don't know how long you've been chasing them. Let's just say that you are chasing one of the biggest clients in your industry, one of the biggest clients in your town. You know you can provide them value, but you've been chasing them. Well, let's say you make a podcast this year, then a year from now, 16 months from now, that client that you're chasing is then chasing you to be on your B2B podcast, that then inevitably results in 3 months after the podcast, they're your client. And that's really how it's working in all other types of industries, right? Accounting firms are just not taking advantage. PwC, on their main page, they posted 3 times in July, 3 times on Instagram. They didn't take advantage of every day, and if they would have taken advantage of every day, I guarantee that for PwC, I know it's a big company, they get big clients, but it would have resulted in more money if they posted interesting, dynamic content every single day on Instagram instead of last month, July, only posting 3 times. And I'll tell you why. You want the example, right? I'll tell you why. So if we're targeting a big client, or it's a well-established client that has an older CEO maybe, right? An older owner. Let's say his name is Ben. Okay, Ben the CEO, we're trying to get in front of his face. We're trying to get him as a client. We're trying to show him what our firm is about and land the job, right? Ben is 60 years old. And on top of that, he doesn't look at LinkedIn. He doesn't look at Instagram. He doesn't look at Facebook. He's a 60-year-old CEO. He spends time with family. He works, and then he runs his business, right? So how are we going to reach him? Well, what business owners tell me when I tell them they can get clients from social, and they say, but the decision maker is not spending all his time on LinkedIn, that tells me that they're not thinking about the very complex chess game and the way businesses are set up, which is the CEO, 60-year-old Ben, he actually has 4 decision makers around him that report to him that are 54 years old, 46 years old, 38 years old, and 41 years old, right? And all these 4 people around Ben, they report to him. They are on LinkedIn, they are on Instagram, they are on Facebook, okay? And then so they report to Ben. They report to him what they're seeing in the business environment, okay? They report to him what they're seeing in the business environment, aka LinkedIn, okay? AKA Facebook ads, okay? So, I mean, it's really, it is a long tail kind of business strategy to get the message that your firm is sending out there to clients, to get the message that your firm is sending out there to your area or niche, okay? It's long tail. You say, I don't want the client in 6 months, though. I need clients right now. That's great. Well, there's a way to do that too. You get in the messages. You leave a voice message on LinkedIn, okay? You start connecting with people, professionals in your city on Shaper, the Shaper app. You've got to use it, guys, okay? And I mean, if you're complaining about the long tail of it, you've got to understand that you're a firm. You're not a startup that really cares about cash right now. If you're really trying to build a big business, you care about nabbing that client, okay? Well, maybe you're in tax resolution, but maybe you care about nabbing that client and then keeping them, and you keeping that client can tie into your message on social. It really can, as well as, you know, employee retention. I see a lot of culture from the top coming down on social media, posted by the office managing partner. One of my associating firms in Houston, they're doing this really well. The office managing partner is all over social. Just the other day, he said that he made $30,000 from 1 like, and that was off the back of listening to content like this as well, listening to the things that Gold Lake say, right? The ROI of social. When this gentleman at this Houston firm asked me about the ROI of social, I simply told him, things will happen to your business that you never would have dreamed of. He wasn't pleased with that answer, guys. He saw the 1 like equals $30,000. He made a post about it, and he seems pretty pleased, okay? So, I mean, no business owner can come to me and tell me it's not worth it to market, right? Because really, marketing, if you're doing it, you are trying to grow, right? So that ties into the business strategy, right? Well, why would we market? How are we growing? How are we growing? Are we trying to obtain clients, or are we trying to obtain awareness in the city or awareness in the industry so that we can take the biggest client when we actually have the people to take them? Because now the biggest client knows about us, because we're putting out the best media in the industry, we're putting out the best media in the town. They know about us, so we're getting that phone call. So if you're not sure if LinkedIn can help you and you're not posting, or Instagram can help you and you're not posting, then frankly, you're extremely vulnerable, especially when we start talking about the way humans actually act with businesses, right? If you're not doing that, you're gonna see the other accountants, frankly, my clients as well, take full advantage and just extract all the value, extract all the value from this market on social that LinkedIn is giving us, that Facebook is giving us, that Instagram is giving us, okay? So if you don't understand how to make business happen in those mediums, your accounting firm, your practice is extremely vulnerable in 2018, going into 2019, and even worse, even more irrelevant going forward if you don't get it right, okay? And one more thing I'll say for the business strategy side is, a lot of people, they think it's about followers, right? Trying to get my followers up, Absolutely not, guys. Followers do not mean anything at all. Followers, especially for a firm, they don't equal money. Followers don't equal money, right? I need 1,000 followers. I need 300 followers that are very active, not 50,000 followers that have no clue that I even exist and they don't engage and like our posts, okay? But we're very happy when we post a video because it gives us a lot of impressions, but no one actually watches the video. It just gives us the impressions because it's scrolling past someone's timeline, right? So we want engaged customers, and I'll talk a little bit about how to do that in the content portion of this talk. But what I'm really trying to get across here is that those 30 followers, those 30 people that actively listen to your podcast can result in $300,000, $500,000, $800,000. You have 80 listeners in your podcast, 5 million. Okay guys, so the exciting part, content, the practical part, what are you actually putting out? Pictures, videos, text, audio. You heard me talk about 1 like can equal $30,000, right? There's proof of that, but you also heard me say if you have 30 viewers, 30 listeners on your podcast, that then can result in $300,000, $800,000, right? Very good to say that. How does that actually happen? I'm gonna go through that right now. So your firm, whether you do tax resolution or you simply advise clients on how to spend their money better, you look at their books and you're more of an advisor because that's a high margin, high profit offering for you guys that don't offer that yet. It's a very good product that I'm seeing a lot of accountants that I'm talking to starting to sell, okay? It's really their time and their mind, which I actually sell. We sell at Gold Lake in terms of strategy, but we get in the weeds and we also post for our clients, make different types of content, that type of thing, right? So what would I tell your firm that doesn't even know where to start? I would tell you that you need at least a signature piece of content that you can rely on, whether it's a weekly podcast, a weekly show, a monthly live session where the other firms in the city kind of get together, because you can have them on because they're actually not competition, okay? So things that are high value, right? Kind of something like this video. Now you don't have to go out of your way, go to the redwood forest, come with a tripod and a DSLR camera, come with an hour-long presentation and start spouting off like I'm doing, right? You don't have to do that to make this $300,000, $800,000 from 30 viewers, okay? You could, but what you really need to have is a signature piece of content that saves your firm time, okay? That's my biggest gripe when I'm talking to accountants. They think that they're gonna spend more time marketing, and then that time spent marketing is gonna take away from their business. Sure, it's gonna take away from their time. Like, I'm doing this on a weekend, I'm making this video on a weekend, not my workday time, so it's taking away from my time, but it's not taking away from my business. As a matter of fact, it's adding to my business. And so what I would tell a firm is that if you create an awesome podcast, okay, a B2B podcast where you're inviting guests in your industry on your podcast. For example, I have a client that it's going to have some of the best guests, okay? Why is he going to have some of the best guests? Well, he's in the emerging technologies industry, okay? Blockchain guests, he's going to have them. Crypto guests, he's going to have them. He's already had them. AR, VR guests, he's already had them, okay? Virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, all that exciting stuff. Guess what? We get to invite these people in the space to his podcast to talk not about taxes, okay? Not about the specific thing that he does. They talk about the technology. And so he's able to make a B2B podcast that then his potential clients, they would listen to, and his potential clients are, someone like a software company who develops a new AI algorithm, okay, who develops a new VR, AR application as simple as a mobile app, okay? So that's just one example. If you serve the construction industry, then you need to have all these contractors on your show come talk about, hey, how have you built this city, right? you're doing construction, that's one of the best niches, because you have so much to ask these experienced contractors, right? You can even show up at the site and do your interviews there and get incredibly dynamic. And I promise, there's not a whole lot of accounting firms doing that. Why aren't they doing that? Because they don't see the ROI. I'm not going to talk about ROI anymore. I'm just going to talk about how to do it. And so that's what I would do if I was in the construction industry. I would get all the contractors together, all the companies together. I would interview them, see how they built the city, have different topics, things like that. Some of the best podcasts, the fastest growing podcasts in the nation, all the podcasts that you listen to probably, or you see people listening to, a lot of them, they have guests on them, and they leverage the guests to get a lot of the attention, right? So if you make a podcast, I'll tell you right now, not a lot of people want to hear about taxes. I don't care if you're doing advisory. Not a lot of people want to hear about advisory. Not a lot of people want to hear about accountants. I'm able to talk about marketing to accountants because it's something that it's just not here. This content doesn't exist. The content that I'm making in the space, it doesn't exist at all. But if you were to tell me that you wanted to make a podcast that talked about different tax issues, I would tell you, well, there's a lot of podcasts that do it. So if you're going to do that, do it in a very, very interesting way, okay? And I wouldn't tell you to do it. I wouldn't tell you to really talk about taxes that much. I would more ask you to think about who you're trying to get as a client, who you're trying to get the word out to, and then make content that those people, those entrepreneurs, those CEOs, those C-suite level executives, those decision makers and gatekeepers can listen to, they get value from, and then at the end of the podcast, you say, hey, you either ask them, you go in for your sale, you either say, hey, if you liked what we said, or you think a business that could use this and this and this, you can reach us here. You leave your email and number. You can do it that way, or you can do a little bit like me. I don't ask for anything at all, right? I don't ask you to call me for my services. Hey, we're selling this and that, right? Because I care about my reputation, and I'm seeing against my competition, I'm seeing too many people do that. And so that's why I will grow fast. I won't get into my strategy right now for me, because my strategy would be actually different from yours, but the thesis of making content that people actually want to watch, that is actually valuable to people, that's very interesting, right? And I'm not saying that you can't talk about taxes at all. You're going to want to give tax updates, okay? On the new tax laws, on, if you're in a space that is getting affected by cryptocurrencies and you want to stay on top of that news, if you're in a space that's getting involved with where your clients, where your niche, where your industry, whether they're businesses or individual taxpayers, okay, you want to address, you do want to address their problems. How would I do that outside of a podcast environment? I would pull up an article, okay? So if I needed to make a piece of tax content today, the fastest way I would make that is I would go on Google, I would type in tax news, and then I would look at the top 10 articles. And this is me. This is only me. Let's say I had to do it, right? So I don't have more. If you're a tax accountant, I actually don't have more tax knowledge than you. I was an auditor at PwC, right? So, hey, I still look at the books. I know accounting, taxes. Yeah, I know a little bit, but I'm not super qualified to talk on taxes. But what I would do to make it very easy, to make it very fast, I would pull up tax news. I would look at the top recent articles that it gives me. I would pick the best one that I can comment on and have an opinion. I would then get in a Zoom conference, or not a conference, but record my screen sharing on Zoom, okay? The new Skype, basically. Everyone's switching from Skype to Zoom. I would share my screen, read the article to my audience, and maybe not the full article, maybe I just care about a graph or a point that was made in the article, and I want to spend 5 to 10 to 20 minutes talking about that article, talking about what I think to my audience. And because it's on Zoom, the webcam records me in my office, or home entrepreneurs in my home office, don't be embarrassed of your home office, okay? I come out here and I show you this because I have a home office, and because I make some content in the home office, the CPA PrimeTime interviews and the article thing that I just described. I tape that in my home office with the webcam. So, you know, I just thought I'd bring you out, give you some scenery as I'm going over this long video, whether you're watching the video, listening to the video, or listening to the audio version of this video. I want to give you some good content, right? So if you're listening to the audio version of this, you might just hear some birds chirping in the background, some water flowing from the waterfall right over there, and that kind of adds to the ambiance, okay? That adds to the ambiance, and I love it. I love it because it's more entertaining for you. I don't have to bore you with my whiteboard home office all the time, right? So that's the way I'm making it a little bit more interesting for my content, showing up different places. On top of that, the main thing that you should be doing when you're making this content is you should be doing business deals. It matters for a business reason, okay? So whether it's you make a 5-minute talk or a 10-minute talk by yourself, or a 30-minute podcast with a guest in your space or city, okay, that podcast then needs to translate into business, right? And so I just told you that you can, if you start a podcast today, that client that you've been chasing, especially if they're in your industry, you can then invite them onto your podcast, and then 3 months later, you can start your podcast. You don't have to invite them. You can make your podcast really popular. They'll be wanting to come on your podcast 6 months from now, and then 6 months from that point, because you had them on your podcast, you have a deeper relationship with them. You're always talking to them, messaging and them, commenting on their stuff. They're commenting on your stuff on LinkedIn. You're kind of, it's kind of flirting, right? If you're a guy, have you ever passed by that girl in high school in the hall and you never really made the move on her, but you both kind of know what's up, right? And so that's how I look at these business relationships, right? This certain client, they kind of know what's up with you if you've had them on your podcast, and they may not be ready to go to you for your services. It just might not be the right time. It might not be the right time for you to pick them up, but there's certainly a strategy that we think about over here at Gold Lake, and we do try to get those guests on our clients' podcast that can then translate into business and make business sense. And why do I say it? One signature piece of content is actually all you need? Well, because that saves you time, so that you don't have to make a video every single day, a specific video. Pop out your tripod and your DSLR, and then spend all your time making content instead of doing business. No, put it into your day. If you don't want to get on the weekends like me, make extra videos, you don't have to. You could, and you could grow 500%, but you don't have to. You can actually save your time, make that big 30-minute podcast, which is really, you take 30-minute phone calls sometimes, so it's really a 30-minute phone call with someone, 30 to 45 minutes, and then that 30 to 45 minutes throughout the next month, okay, throughout the next month, it's cut into little segments, and that factors into what you post on LinkedIn, what you post on Instagram, the articles that you then write based off of what was said in the podcast, okay? Video, text, and then you strip the audio, you turn it into a SoundCloud MP3 file, right? You put it out on SoundCloud for free. When you have all that down, you put it on Libsyn. You get the Libsyn distribution model for like $15, I think it is, and then you have your podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Google Music, things like that. Okay, so really, guys, there is a business case for creating content. I don't wanna, you don't wanna pay a marketing firm $3,000 to make a jingle for you, but then all of a sudden, when your podcast is bringing in 30 to 80 viewers at a time, that then is resulting in cash, then yeah, you realize that, wait, a jingle matters in the terms of people are starting to get familiar with our stuff. So when they hear that sound, whether they're scrolling or they just listened to the podcast and then they went to the restroom and that kind of opening sound to your podcast is stuck in their mind, that is marketing, that is branding, that is taking advantage of the human biology. That's taking advantage of easy commercial shareable music. There's a way that we actually make jingles here at Gold Lake that's actually very simple. It's actually very smart. You won't have to pay $3,000 for it. I'm not suggesting that you should pay $3,000 for a jingle, but a lot of firms do look at marketing as an expense, okay? Expense versus investment, which what it really is if you do it right. And so if you do it right, you'll be saving as much time as possible. You won't be spending all the time in the world marketing, because what you really want to do is you want to integrate it into your day-to-day. Meaning, okay, I gave you the signature content, right? So you're going to go out, you're going to make a show, you're going to make a podcast, right? But that might get you from 50% to 200%. That might be a really good thing, but how can we hit it harder? How can we get to 800% growth, 500% growth? Well, then you're going to have to be telling the story of your firm, telling people who you are, telling people about your culture. And the way you do that is maybe through cell phone videos, right? Selfie cell phone videos in between meetings, in between calls, in between tasks, when a business thought is actually on your mind, right? I just wrote an article the other day of how to create content really fast, and one thing you don't want to do is set aside some type of creative time to then write an article or make a podcast, or actually the podcast one, that would be interesting because it'll basically be a scheduled call with someone, so it will be scheduled. But what I'm saying is you want to, create content when you feel creative, when you just feel it. And so that's why I'm creating this video this weekend, because I just feel it, okay? And I wanted to come out here and make something really special for you. If I would have done it another time, the video would have came out like 75% of my creative, 80% of my thoughts versus 100% when I'm really inspired, right? So if you're inspired in between meetings, I think it's a really good idea to pull out that phone, start talking to it, yes. Even if you're 40 plus years old, even if you're 50 plus years old, even if your clients are very professional, even if you're in financial services clients, right? You need to do these types of things because the BS meter, okay? The BS meter of people is 100% on when we look on social and we look at things like banner ads, or we see accounting firms post things like stock imagery, people in the office with pearly whites smiling, just so happy to do accounting work, right? It's complete BS, and the clients that you're trying to target, the CEOs, the CFOs, they're not stupid, guys, okay? So I really want to see authentic content from the space. Back in 2016, when I was advising the U.S. marketing director of PwC, I told her, and I told the whole room of partners that flew in regionally, I told them, and I actually took the BS word out of my presentation when I talked to them. It was in there when I was making the presentation, that same concept, but I explained it in a different way. But basically I said, you guys have got to stop with these stock images, with people smiling in the office. It's not going to work. Everyone online now can smell the BS from miles and miles and miles away, okay? That does more damage to the brand actually than it helps you do anything, than it helps anyone sign up for anything or whatever PwC was trying to do at the time, right? So you want to be completely authentic. If you're not very proud of your home office and that affects your confidence, then get in a beautiful place like me, right? My home office doesn't affect my confidence, but I just want to give you something interesting, some more dynamic content for you to bite on, for you to eat, for you to consume. Okay, so very quickly, what other kind of things can you make? On Instagram, I mean, videos crush, okay? News type videos that have maybe a little text box sliding in, a picture in the background, text box sliding in, your logo, then it tells the new industry news, okay? Let's say it's construction news in your city, okay? Or tech news in, let's say, the virtual reality Throwback Thursday. It goes over that virtual reality was actually used in one of the most influential ways in the 1990s with the Air Force, with the virtual flight technology type thing, right? So these are types of things that you want to do in your city. You kind of want to be a news source, a content source. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can put the same sorts of content in all of those mediums, but the copy and the way you talk in those mediums is very different. For example, if I had a really good piece of content on a Monday, I like to do Motivation Monday. I like to do Tough Love Monday is what I call it. Bring some reality into the accounting space and tell them, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? A lot of my content is like that, right? And so the words and the language is actually, the copy, the sales copy, it's actually a bit more aggressive on a Monday on Instagram than it is on LinkedIn on a Monday on Instagram, which, hey, it's tough love on LinkedIn too. I'm telling the accountants what they're not doing, but I'm being conscious where if I use some type of lingo over here or texting shorthand, that then I can't use it on LinkedIn because that won't be consumable to the audience that is on LinkedIn, and it'll just it won't flow with the types of things people show that they want to like and that they want to comment on LinkedIn. They'll be very embarrassed. They'll be very embarrassed to like something that maybe it has sort of the wrong language on something like LinkedIn, right? The language doesn't really fit into what we usually see on LinkedIn, which is insightful thoughts. Not so aggressive like the way I do post on Instagram, which, hey, they love it on Instagram. I give the DMs, we're ready for you to drop that Sunday night video, Juan. We're ready for you to do this, we love your IGTVs, okay? That's another thing. You can make a 9-minute cell phone video, put it on Instagram, not in a post, in something called Instagram TV. Now everybody is consuming content on mobile, and I'm sitting here and I'm telling you exactly what to do. Now if you don't go out and do it, then all these people looking at their phones, all these people in your niche, all these people in your industry, all these people in your city, all these people in your network, they're looking at other stuff. They're looking at other stuff. I want them to be looking at your stuff. Make some interesting content. Make a signature piece of content. Make a podcast. Make a show. Cut it up into little pieces. Put the 60-second version on Instagram. Put the 30-minute version on YouTube. Put the 10-minute version on LinkedIn. Put the 45-second version on Twitter, and then tell everyone in your Facebook groups, okay, because Facebook groups, that's a totally organic way to grow on Facebook now that the price of ads are increasing. And we'll talk about ads in a little bit, but Facebook groups, you can take huge advantage there. So take your content, share it to your Facebook group, right? Some Facebook groups where we get in there with other business owners, we actually don't allow links in the Facebook group, right? So how would anyone listen to your stuff if you don't allow links and you're in a Facebook group? Well, you need to spend the time, okay? And we charge for it at Gold Lake Media, but you need to spend the time commenting in that Facebook group, answering questions maybe about tax, or accounting, where it's a Facebook group of your city, of business owners in your city, right? If there's no Facebook group of business owners in your city, none, there probably is, especially if you're near a big city. But let's say there's no Facebook group, then that's your opportunity to be the host of the party and actually create one, right? Actually create the business environment. And just like throwing a party, you're gonna be the popular kid, right, in your city or niche or industry for putting that together. And really, these types of things, they don't have X equals Y ROI. So stop looking for that. Stop looking for that X equals Y. I just told you, it's the chess match of attacking the 4 gatekeepers of the CEO that you want to get to. And the 4 gatekeepers, they let the CEO know what they see in the business environment, which is LinkedIn, the 2018-2019 business mixer of our society. So let me go through them all real quick. LinkedIn, I think for accounting firms, that's your number one opportunity. The organic growth is so incredible. I have 1 like, I get 900 views. Okay, 1 like, 900 views. 2 likes can send me over 1,000 views, and that's based on both my network and the people that are liking that, their network, right? So when someone likes something or comments on something, their network sees that they commented on that thing, and that organic growth is the organic exposure right now, and the way the algorithm is acting, it's acting very generous. That will not be here as prominent in 2019, right? So how can you get some more of that organic growth besides just posting your own content? Well, you can actually treat LinkedIn like business Twitter and say maybe 2 sentences of business thoughts, put a couple of hashtags that are relevant to your industry, okay? Accounting, and then construction, VR, AR, blockchain, things like that, okay? And those 2 sentences alone, with no links, no salesy, nothing, just maybe you talk about business or motivation, maybe you talk about how you're empowering your team at your firm, what you are doing, things like that. These are the types of things people see online, and that kind of starts the neurological process of, okay, I need to see something 7 times to buy. Imagine if they're in your network, they're seeing your content every single day. It's gonna be a freaking easy phone call when you finally take the sales call to get to close the client, right? Or to close the business or partnership or affiliate, things like that. So that's LinkedIn. Another way to get that to see that organic growth is to pick someone big in your industry, someone popular. They've maxed out their connections, 30,000 connections. They're a famous influencer in your industry, okay? They post their stuff, and there's some people that comment on their stuff. You need to be in the comments. You need to be commenting on their stuff, sharing your insights, because say you spend 4 minutes. Say you spend 4 minutes of your work day making an insightful comment on one of these influencers' posts, okay? So many people in that influencer's network are gonna see what you spent 4 minutes on, and that 4 minutes can land you other connections in that person's network if they like what you say, right? Because they might then like your comment or reply to it if it's very interesting, and when they like it or reply to them or reply to your comment, you then send them a connection, right? You interact a little bit more with them, see if you can pull out more of the conversation, right? And so to make this ROI positive, to make this profitable, you want to make sure this person that you're targeting on LinkedIn, that they actually do have the connections, that you're interested in seeing your stuff and seeing even you as a business owner. So it's not about landing clients, okay? There's many business reasons to be on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, and that has to do with growing your business, whether it's letting the city know who you are, that then because they know who you are, you actually, through your content, and because they see you speaking to the camera, and they've never heard an accountant talk like you before, because they don't hear that many accountants talk, you then get invited to the conference as the accountant, when really there's a better accountant than you in the city that should have been invited to the city conference or whatever, but they didn't get the gig, they didn't get to book the talk because the organizer of the event saw your content and saw you, and they want you, even though you might not be as experienced as the other guy that actually has more experience and skills than you as an accountant, right? So that's what content can do for you from a LinkedIn perspective. Instagram. A lot of firms, again, they will say that they can't see the ROI because their people aren't on Instagram. That's a self-limiting belief, okay? Business owners are on Instagram, or the decision makers to get to the CEO that then fill them in on what's going on, okay? So in Instagram, a lot of people really care about followers. They'll do strange things to get followers, like follow 1,000 people and then unfollow 500 of those people just so that they can get an extra 200 followers. I think that's a bad idea. I think the best way to grow is by posting using hashtags, okay? 30 hashtags from your industry, 30 hashtags, make some accounting hashtags in there, okay? And then besides posting, really posting on stories with location tags, posting on IGTV, but more than that, actually getting in the Instagram search and searching for different locations in your city, or different locations that maybe your target audience, your target client, your target business owner, your target C-suite executive would hang out, right? So here in Silicon Valley, I'm not in Silicon Valley right now, I'm in the Redwoods, but in Silicon Valley, I would target the plug and play, or the software development building where all the software developers go, right? And then I would look, they would tag themselves there, because that's how it works on Instagram, and I would go, I would like all their photos, comment on their photos, show interaction, things like that. When I comment on their photos, I'm not saying, hey, check out our firm, check out our page, we just got a new page. No, I'm leaving either a thoughtful comment about what they posted, or I'm just posting like a smiley face, like yay, hands up, or some cash, or like a cash emoji or something, like as to say, hey, do good in business, just to show a quick interaction, right? So besides that kind of passive, like hey, commenting on people's stuff, right? How does that get you business? Well, when you comment on stuff, they then see, they look, you know, who left this comment, and if they look at who left the comment, they go to your profile and they say, wow, I've never seen an accounting firm post like this before. This is very interesting. Let me either follow them or DM them, and then they're DMing you, wondering what you do. Why you're an accounting firm, but why do you talk about self-development? You're an accounting firm, but why do you talk about all these other cool things besides accounting, besides tax? Do you see what I'm saying? You have to make the content as an accountant that other business owners are interested in. Business owners do not know the value of an accountant. They don't. They forget, what have you done for me lately? Gee, well, I haven't heard from the accounting firm in town, okay? And there's a lot more. I could go into Instagram, but for right now, all I will say is that your firm should have an Instagram, no matter the size, and if you don't have one, you are leaving money on the table. $100,000 plus in reoccurring revenue, you're leaving it on the table, okay? In many different industries, even in the smallest of small, even in the biggest of big, you're leaving, if you don't have an Instagram, you're leaving over $100,000 of reoccurring business on the table. Now let's get to a harder one, Twitter. Many firms don't have Twitter, right? I see Keith Jones. I remember I talked to him when I first started my business. The first few weeks, I actually got on a call with him. Very interesting guy. This guy, Keith Jones, is all over Twitter. He's doing an awesome job with all these automation tools all over his site, all over different links and things like that. But I'll tell you, Keith, if you're watching this, if you're consuming this, what I don't like about what you're doing, and I like a lot of what you're doing, I think you're really smart. I think, you know, we've talked and you've obviously landed reoccurring business from the way you do it. But what Keith does on Twitter is he tweets a lot of information out, right? So many tweets a day. And I don't know if he has them automated or what. I don't really care, because he's putting out so many tweets a day that then people are actually not consuming, right? And so the advantage of Twitter is not to post, but the advantage is that you can actually look up who's talking about what on what day, right? So let's say it's Monday in your city. Let's say you care about growing your firm in your city. You care about that reputation. Okay, I want people to know I'm planted here. On top of that, I want the clients here. Then you look up those businesses and you can actually interact with them on Twitter. Or just to get some community interaction, you can start going, let's say I need one of my clients to really care about the software developers in Silicon Valley, right? I then on Twitter go and find, okay, who is already helping these software developers? Let me help them. I then find a lady who is teaching a VR class, except she needs a VR developer to show up to her class so she can teach her middle schoolers more about VR. We're then the only ones to see that. She has no likes, no retweets. We comment on it. We say, we're going to help you out. We retweet it in our network. It gets 3 to 5 likes and retweets, and then guess what happens the next day? Guess what she tells us? She found someone for a class because we retweeted the thing, right? And we weren't specifically looking to take that and show that off, right? Hey, look, we're helping the community. We're looking to actually help the community. And that's what you can do, and that's what you can show on Twitter. You can get in there, see who's talking about taxes. Let's say your tax resolution. You can see who's ticked off by the IRS. You can see who just got a call from the IRS. You can see who got the fake call from the IRS, right? The scam. They're talking about the scam. And then you hop in the comments, you at them, and then you can tell them a bit more like, hey, the IRS, they shouldn't be calling you with a recorded call, and here's actually why, and here's how the space is actually cracking down on that, right? And then they're in that interaction with you. That's now Twitter. I get why a lot of firms on there, what I just described, it takes a lot of time, right? And with this content play, I want you to save as much time as possible. Be very streamlined. I don't like the guy, but the way Mayweather fights, right? He conserves his energy. He plays a chess match. And so that's what you need to be playing, a chess match. If you don't have time to make a podcast, get people on the phone, I just really don't believe that. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Because a podcast can be as simple as a phone call with another business owner. So that's it. Go out there, guys. Stop making excuses. I had a client. He made an excuse. I made him email all the guests that would be on his podcast. He said I wouldn't have time to talk to him. I said he was a liar. All right, guys. So finally, paid media. The back half of this talk. The part of the talk for the real players. The part of the talk for the big boys that can actually spend money and want to see ROI from it as well in real time. So Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, Google AdWords, ad spend. You've heard of it, right? But you've heard of it for other businesses. How does this pertain to the accounting industry specifically? I'm going to drop some gems on you right now that I just could not find on the internet for accountants. Now, accountants can sell things on Facebook ads, YouTube pre-roll ads, LinkedIn video ads, okay? I actually don't suggest spending that much on LinkedIn ads. I think it's more Facebook ads, more Instagram ads, and more YouTube pre-roll, which is Google pre-roll, okay, Google AdWords, but not the banner ads, the pre-roll, okay? And right now I'm going to go over some of the ways to take advantage of that, right? Whether you're looking for individual tax clients or you're looking for advisory clients where you're actually a cost accountant to them that's going to look at their books, teach them where they need to decrease costs, increase costs to then grow 200% in year 2. Or maybe you're a tax planning professional with high net worth businesses and entrepreneurs and that type of thing, right? Across the board, you can totally make the ROI back if you spend $1,000, $500, $1,500, $5,000 a month on Facebook ads, okay? Even as low as $500, $100, you can get a good test to see if these types of ads actually work, right? Well, what would you do? If you had $1,000 to spend today on ads, what would you spend it on? Me, I wouldn't spend it on any of the things that I just mentioned. I would actually spend it on influencer marketing, where, you know what? I pay someone not to tell them that I'm the best accountant, right? Because that's illegal, okay? You can't do that. That's against the marketing rules for accountants, okay? But I'm gonna pay the influencer to say, hey, they're doing this nice thing in the city. Everyone in Houston, go follow this firm, right? And then that person, because they don't know the actual value of their 50,000, 100,000 followers, it's only gonna be $50 to $100 for the accounting firm. And especially if that influencer in the city is very city oriented, or they're in a specific niche, then the eyeballs that are looking at them shout your firm out on their story, they're actually very valuable, where you'll get those, you want those people entering your funnel, right? Imagine your sales funnel like this. It ends with the ROI, it ends with getting the business, getting the client, getting the deal, right? But the top of that funnel, the awareness portion of that funnel, we need to pop that open, right? And so we pop it open through interesting content. We pop it open through collaborating and paying influencers as well. By collaborating, I mean what I talked about earlier, which was invite people on your podcast, right? In the city, in your niche, different types of influencers, right? And they may, I'm not paying anyone to come on my podcast. They might go to your podcast for free, right? But if I need someone at some point for Gold Lake Media to shout us out, guess what? I'm paying them as an influencer, and they are not gonna ask for the, they're not gonna ask for a super expensive price. And if they do, because the smart influencers with managers, they're really expensive to post something about your firm or your services in a niche or industry, right? It's very one by one case with the influencer there. I won't get into it, but all I will say is that you can find the influencers in your city by going to something like Instagram, typing in, like I said, those relevant locations, then saying, okay, who has the top pictures, who has the top profiles in my city, aka influencers that have over 1,000 followers, over 5,000 followers. You can get 10 people who have between 1,000 and 10,000 followers in your city, pay them each $50 to $100, and that's a very strong, imagine all that happening in the same week. That's a very strong marketing attack versus something like ads, which is very salesy, right? How do you fix that? How do you make ads? Let's say you spend money on Facebook ads, okay? How do you make that not salesy? On top of that, what do you actually sell? Do you say, hey, my firm is new in town, or we offer this, this, and this? You could, and that's what people already do, but you don't want to be like other people. You don't want to get the same results as them. You want to get better results than them. So then you need to be thinking about the creative behind your ad, which is the picture that you're putting on the ad that might show your office or some your office, and then a quote, maybe a quote cutout that someone said something nice about your firm from Twitter. Okay, these things that I'm describing, they're very relatable to what people look at. But if it was a video, I would put a video, 1 minute and 45-second video on the ad creative, or a 45-second video on the ad creative that went over, hey, we love this town, we love this industry, whatever you're doing, you love it, right? We love it, and guess what? We are here to give you a free webinar, right? So that's what I would be wanting them to sign up for, a webinar, right? Not necessarily just saying, hey, click on this button and see if you qualify, right? Everyone's already done that. Everyone's already spent the ad dollars on, hey, click here to see if you qualify. You could do that, and you could see returns from it. But what you'll really see returns from is a funnel that I'm about to describe that is a well-known funnel in other industries, well-known for high ROI, but here's how to use it in the accounting industry. You say so you make the 45-second video, okay? Actually, you could put a 45-minute video on a YouTube pre-roll. I've actually seen Ty Lopez spend a lot of money on that. The conversion is so crazy for him. But let's say you have a 45-second video, right? You're gonna say, 1, the industry or niche. Hey, I'm so excited because we're gonna give back. 2, what are you selling? We have a special webinar right now that's gonna, what is it gonna do? It's gonna possibly increase your business by 200% to 500%, right? What is it gonna do? It's gonna make you stop worrying about your cash flow, about your books, and we're gonna put some confidence inside you as an entrepreneur. You can go over your sales copy and what you're gonna say, but that 45-second video then has a button that leads to a landing page, okay, a conversion page that then has a 5-minute maybe sales video that tells them more about what's going to be covered in the free webinar. And then right below that is a link, a button to sign up for the webinar. And then below the button is like a long list of insane accomplishments that your firm believes, that your firm believes, or your philosophies that the firm believes. If you've been around, you've got some accomplishments, your accomplishments that the firm has been able to get. It's getting dark out here, so I'm going to wrap this up. But if you pay attention to me with that funnel, okay, you have the ad. It's a 45-second attention-grabbing ad. We're here in the industry. We're going to do this for you. Here's what we're about. We're giving out come sign up for the webinar for free, right? Then you have the sales video inside of that landing page, okay? So it's one video, 45 seconds. They click on it. They go to the next sales page, okay, that has a 5-minute video where you're selling more, okay, or you're selling and telling, okay, and then right below that has a sign up where they're going to put their email in. You collect their email, you get to send the newsletter out now, or target them through ads now, and then they're also going to be a part of your webinar, where in the webinar you're going to spend maybe an hour going over something, okay, an hour going over something. Maybe the last 20 minutes of that hour is for Q&A questions. Maybe you only go over something for 15 minutes and the rest are questions, so that you can see what types of entrepreneurs or business owners or businesses are watching, and so you can address their questions directly in the live feed, like something like GoToSeminar, something like Zoom, or even just invite them in the most simplest of ways. Just invite them to your Facebook Live event, right? And then you do all that for them, you answer their questions in the live webinar, and then at the end of the webinar you spend an extra 20 minutes. You say, okay, it's been great giving value to you guys. Now for those of you that are interested in our business, you are interested in what you do, you know, this is the time where I'm going to go over it. So if you're not interested, you know, you can take the free information that we gave you and you can do great. But I'm going to go over how you can do better and why your future is actually better with us. And then, so yeah, people are going to leave the live stream when you say that, but those are not qualified leads, right? They're not going to buy your business anyway. The people that stay, they liked what you said in the webinar, okay? They see the value and they want to hear your offer. They're going to want to hear what you're offering them. How much do you cost? What types of businesses do you work with? What type of revenue do I need to be making with my business for you to serve me in advisory or individual tax preparing or different types of things, okay? So that is a really good sales funnel that you can actually implement through video form, through, you have the sales copy landing page, okay? And that's very, it sounds a little bit complicated to set up, right? But it's much more effective than just doing an ad with an image with a sign up button to sign up. Maybe you have something on your website that goes over, they put the business information in, and then it qualifies them as being a potential client for you, right? Yeah, I mean, I've seen that so much by accountants. People aren't just going to qualify themselves so fast and give out something for free, give out a long video, a long webinar. Maybe you're doing an event in your city, make them RSVP to the event, something like that. Okay, guys? Now, why did I say don't spend that much money on LinkedIn? Well, because it has a floor, right, for CPM. So that means cost. I mean, you've got to spend a certain amount of money to start reaching people, and that amount of money I don't think is worth the actual value of reaching people right now against the organic algorithm that LinkedIn has right now. So I'll tell you what LinkedIn is doing. They're with the organic algorithm, they're trying to get people to really participate on LinkedIn, okay, so that they can then have all these people and then their ad product really works and it's effective right now. But I'll tell you right now, it's not the most effective. So if you're really precious with your ad dollars and you're a saving cost-conscious accountant, like all accountants are almost, then you don't actually want to spend that money on LinkedIn ads, right? It's one of the last places on digital that you should be spending. If you like Google AdWords, don't spend your money on Google AdWords, right? I mean, the value of it is going down, frankly. But where the value of it is in showing up in a YouTube pre-roll, where if they searched on Google, how can I reduce the cost of my business or something like that, or how can I my software business, right? When they put these search queries into Google, you can then go in and show your video to them when they land on YouTube, and they could be looking at something completely different. They could be looking at the Redwood Forest videos and then see your accounting video before they start watching it. And guess what? Because you made some interesting content, it's an interesting accounting video, and they actually know who you are in the city, industry, or niche. So that is it for paid ad spend, guys. If you're really gonna decide to spend money, you really need to think about if you have the budget to test, because that's the most important part, and that's where we kind of help our clients as well. We say, okay, well, you need this budget to test, and then once we're done testing, once we figured out our target, right, because Facebook ads are getting more expensive, they're working less effectively. The targeting on Facebook ads are taking it away because all of the Cambridge Analytica stuff, right? So it's harder to reach people. They're taking certain pieces of data away, okay? So, I mean, and if you're gonna target someone that likes a page, then it has to be a big page. It's not like you can target the people who liked the Rotary Club or Chamber of Commerce page, okay? It needs to be something big, so that doesn't really help you out. So then what do? Well, there's tons of, I'm not gonna go over all the targeting options right now, get too technical for you, but I will tell you that, you know, optimizing those ads, optimizing the target audience, it does matter. Okay, so because it does matter, and because you don't know what's going on before you spend ad dollars, you need to have a budget where you're testing that. And then the ones that make it out of the test, the ones that you're actually saying, okay man, this is either showing ROI or it looks like it's going to show ROI, you then take one of those and you bam, you put more money on it. We at Gold Lake call that the heavy hitters strategy, okay, where we find something that's testing really well and we hit it heavy when it's testing really well, right? We dump our chips on the table. So, really dark out here. I'm gonna get out of here now, guys, before the wolves come. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have gotten massive value. Like I said, I just want to bring the best accounting marketing content that you have literally ever seen or heard. Thank you very much.